What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the MMA Mainstream Podcast. I'm James, as always, joined by co-host Kaelyn. Kaelyn, how you doing?
Good. It's Friday.
Right? Thank goodness.
Yeah,
And today we have an interview. We have Cory. Is it Carrino? I'm saying that right?
Yeah,
Cool. All right. I always screw up last names. I'm notorious for that.
You
So
screw
I
up
just
all
figured.
the names, not just
Yeah.
last names. That's all.
No, I say I'm notorious. It depends on the first name. Let's be real. Like Cory. Okay, I get that. I get
Pretty
that.
simple.
That makes sense. Some of these UFC fighters. Are you serious? Like, no, I need breakdowns.
Especially the Brazilians and the Russians.
Yeah. Basically, anybody that's gonna sound. I don't mean it to sound bad. Anybody not from America.
Yeah, they got the complicated names.
Exactly. So thank you, Cory, for joining us. How you doing, my man?
I'm feeling good, man. Just a little tired. I had a jiu-jitsu session this morning. I'm getting ready to go spar tonight. Here in about an hour or so. And just getting ready for my fight. Staying healthy, staying ready, and just getting ready to go get that belt, man.
All right, right on. All right, so let's talk about the past real quick. You won your fight by submission in the second round. For those at home that didn't see it, tell us a little bit more about what went down in that fight.
It was a good fight. I knew he was from the UFC gym, so I know those guys do a lot of like real basic like kickboxing when they're getting their amateur fighters ready. And so after watching his fight, I knew he was gonna go for that big leg kick. Because he threw it a lot in his last fight, and the one that he did before that. So like me and my coaches just got ready to check that kick, go in with some traditional Muay Thai, with our just get ready to check his kicks and then parry his punches. And my coaches didn't want me striking with him too much because he's really wild, and they didn't want me getting caught with a wild shot. So they told me just to go in there nice and tight, have my tie stance, check his kicks, close the distance, get the takedown, and work the ground and pound from the back or work for a submission, and that's what we did.
Very nice, very nice. And was that your first time competing?
No, that was not. I've competed in MMA before. I've done a lot of like stuff in the underground scene. I've done a lot of stuff in like Muay Thai, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. I've been around the scene for a while, just getting ready, preparing and stuff.
Gotcha.
So was your goal always to do MMA, or did you start out, with an individual sport like Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu first?
I started out wrestling like in high school. I just started out wrestling, and then I wanted to improve my wrestling, so like I started doing jiu-jitsu just to get my wrestling better, and then I heard about MMA like when I was at a jiu-jitsu gym. I'm like, what? I'm like, you can beat people. I'm like, you can get in a fight and it's legal. I'm like, what's that about? And my buddy's like, yeah, bro, I'll sign you up. And I went out there like not knowing how to do any striking whatsoever. Like this dude was throwing bombs at me. I'm like, oh shit. I just kept diving for the dude's legs. And after that fight, my buddy's like, yeah, bro, we need to get you some stand-up. I'm like, yeah, bro. So I started training some stand-up, you know what I mean? And the rest is history, you know. And once I learned some stand-up, got a little bit safer, got a little bit more comfortable in the cage. Now I'm pretty comfortable in there.
Now you're talking about training for your next fight and doing prep work for that. When is your next fight?
May 30th.
Okay. Do you know where at?
It'll be for MMA Fight Pass. Me and Cody was talking about giving me the title shot for the 135 title belt for the MMA Fight Pass.
All right, right on.
I don't know if the fight has been announced yet, so I don't know if I'm supposed to say too much about my opponent, or I don't know if I'm really supposed to be talking about it.
I haven't heard that, and I'm kind of tied in with a lot of these guys, so that's news to me, and I ain't mad at that.
Okay, I'm saying I don't know like if I'm supposed to be talking about it too much, just because like it was between me, Cody, and Archie, you know. So like,
well, let's just say that you have a title opportunity in the future, but that's all you could say. How about that?
Exactly. Let's say that.
That'll work.
I don't know how soon, you know what I mean, but I'm getting ready, and I will be ready, and I will be more prepared than I've ever been. Let's say that.
All right. So tell us where you train out of. Tell us about your fight team.
So my fight team is very unique because I literally handpicked 3 of the best coaches that I could. I went and sought out my own fight team, which means I went and sought out a really good jiu-jitsu coach, a really good Muay Thai coach, and an MMA coach to mix it all together. So like all my coaches are private trainers. They don't have a big gym. All these guys, we have a gym in my Muay Thai coach's house where he converted his 4-car garage into a full gym, and we work out of there. And all 4 of us, we work together on how we could, and we take it very seriously. We study our opponent. My jiu-jitsu coach says, all right, this is his weakness in his jiu-jitsu. This is how we could exploit him. My wrestling coach does the same thing, and so is my Muay Thai coach, and my MMA coach makes a plan on how we could put everything together and how we could execute.
Now, coming from being an amateur, is it harder to find footage of your opponents, or has social media really helped in the way you could find that info?
Social media really helps, but you know what I mean? When a lot of the guys have only 1 or 2 fights, it's really hard, you know? So that's why, like, I've just found it best just to, like, stay ready in everything, man. I work my boxing as much as I can. I work my Muay Thai as much as I can. I work my jiu-jitsu, my wrestling. I just try to stay very well-rounded. That way, no matter what comes my way, like, I'm ready for it. Like, as of right now, if someone was like, what are you? You a kickboxer? You a Muay Thai guy? You a jiu-jitsu guy? I'm a mixed martial artist. You know what I mean? There's at this point, I wouldn't say there's one thing that I'm better at than the other. Like, I'm not more of a stand-up guy than I am a wrestling guy. I change my style compared to my opponent. I mean, if my opponent is a striker, I'm probably not going to strike with him. I'm probably going to take him where he's uncomfortable and take him out in the water and drown his ass, you know? So, yeah.
Now you're talking about your go ahead, Kaelyn.
No, I was just going to say, you know, say like you can't find footage on your opponent as of, you know, right now. But what do you feel more comfortable? What's like your go-to? I know you said you start out wrestling. Is that something you're more comfortable with? Like, is that something you could go to if you know nothing about your opponent?
My wrestling is really good at, and helps me with pressure, just pressurizing my opponents. And I feel like I'm like really good at being a pressure fighter, just staying on them. But like I'm really good at just like thinking in the moment, you know. I'm like, okay, like what's this guy throwing? And then based on it in the moment, like that's what I go to, man. There's no like I love the devil leg. I'll go for that every time. No, it just depends on the situation and when I'm in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what got you into doing MMA? Like, what was the first thing you saw when you were young that was like, that's what I want to do?
I remember watching like George St. Pierre, bro, and like just seeing like his whole style. I'm like, bro, this dude's amazing. Like, I'm like, I want to be like this guy, you know. And I tried to just emulate the great, you know.
Is this a career choice for you, or is this like a hobby?
You know what I mean? If I could make a career out of it, that'd be amazing, you know.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm kind of just going where the wind wherever the wind takes me.
Oh, that's good.
Now you're talking about fighting for the 135 title.
Yes, sir.
What's your walk around weight?
I walk around about 150, 155.
Oh, okay. So when you have to cut, it's not too terribly bad like some people.
And like my team, they're very like they've all been in the combat sports game for between my whole team. I'd say they got about 40 years combined in the game. And my coach that I work with, or my MMA coach, he works with a lot of like guys in the UFC, like Max Griffin and stuff like that. And so like he knows what he's doing when it comes to to my diet and my meal plans and stuff. So like when I cut weight, it's not even bad. It's mainly just my diet I change, and maybe a little bit more cardio. I cut certain stuff out of my diet, increase water intake for a little bit, and usually that takes care of it.
So I take it you're up in the Sacramento area.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so you had some choice over there when it came to selecting your team to help you make you the fighter that you are. That's exactly. Pretty legit.
And there's a lot of gyms out here that I cross train with. There's a lot of people out here I work with, I spar with. Like I'm going over to a big gym tonight to go get some sparring with some good Muay Thai guys. So that'll be fun.
So you said, have you done any Muay Thai fights?
Yeah, I've done some like IKFs and PKBs and stuff like that.
Okay. How'd you like that?
I don't like the no knockout rule because it's like,
Yeah.
well, they have a. I don't know if you guys are too familiar with the PKBs and stuff like that, but they have a no knockout rule, which is like if you go a certain intensity, like they're like, oh no, and like I'm an intense fighter. Like
I have the opposite experience. I think it's every single PKB I've ever been to or been in. A bunch of people get knocked out. They'll talk to you for like 30, 40 minutes.
They'll pull you off the mat a little bit and be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I still have yet to see that. I've seen some pretty anxious fighters go out there, but I've never seen anything I've never seen a knockout when it comes to this.
Yeah.
Then again, I've only seen a few.
I feel like I have yet to see a ref say, hey, slow down. You know, I always feel like
I have seen that.
They've said it to me before, bro. You know what I mean? I hit someone with a spinning back fist one time and they didn't like it.
Yeah, that's probably.
I'm not gonna lie, I threw it pretty damn hard. I mean, it's a fight, bro. I'm trying to hurt you.
Yeah, I like it's the name of the game.
Exactly. Like
I get it.
Sort of.
You don't want to get hurt, bro. Don't step in here.
Yeah.
Now, do you prefer to compete in that, or would you rather do a jiu-jitsu competition?
Probably jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? But like, I like those are fun too, you know what I mean? Like it's fun just to get out there and compete no matter what you're doing.
Now, talk about intensity. Does it frustrate you that I don't know what belt level are you first?
I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu.
So did it frustrate you when you were a white belt that you couldn't just throw a leg lock on somebody?
Oh yeah. But it's really cool thing about jiu-jitsu is seeing the growth in yourself, you know.
Oh yeah.
And like when you like roll with people that used to tap you out, and then you're like, oh now I'm tapping them out, you know what I mean? And you see the growth in yourself and the competition and MMA. You're like, oh man, look, this guy couldn't touch me on the ground, you know. And that's the coolest part about it is just seeing the personal growth and you know, and just seeing how far you've come since you started your journey.
Yeah, I do agree with that. One thing I'm gonna forever be a white belt. I'm like a 12. Actually, I've been doing it for a long time.
A white belt lifer.
I'm a lifer for the white belt, and yet I love leg locks. So I just that's why I asked you that question.
You're a sandbagger, huh?
I mean, it is what it is. I don't compete. I just would go to a class.
I'm just fucking with you, dog.
Oh, I know. It's all good. But yeah, like I shock a lot of people and I'll be like, oh, look, a heel hook. And they're like, well, you're a white belt. I'm like, I'm sorry. I learned it on UFC.
Yeah, I still know how to leg lock and heel hook. Straight in.
So I don't know if you've already said this. I'm sorry. But how many MMA fights have you had so far?
So I've had in camera right now, I am 2-3, I believe.
Oh, okay. So you've done quite a bit.
And I've done a lot of like unsanctioned fights too, like just like yeah, you know what I mean.
Whatever, those don't count.
Do they still call those smokers? Because when I was, I'm old, so I'm just that's what they called it when I was seeing this stuff.
Yeah, smoker fights, unsanctioned, whatever they want to call it.
Do you have maybe? I know you said you don't know if this is a career or not. Do you have maybe like a limit of how many fights you're going to do? Probably depending on how well you do them, but do you have a limit of how many amateur fights you're going to do before you start thinking about maybe going pro?
I mean, that part's up to my coaches and my management and all that, and when they feel like I'm ready, and that's when they'll tell me like, we're going to make the jump.
Okay. So you're on board with that if they did say that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
Now, over here in the Central Valley, I mean, you've competed at Bakersfield, but in Central California, where we're based out of, there hasn't been any pro shows, mainly due to COVID. But are there pro shows going on up north with you over in your guys' area?
We just had one. It was called Firehouse or Fire. I think it was Firehouse or Firepower. It was called Firepower Promotions, and it was led by a local guy out here named Chad Shepard. And it was like 2 weeks ago, and it was a pretty good show, man. They had a lot of good fights. I think Max Griffin was doing the commentating and stuff.
Oh wow!
You're right.
I haven't heard that guy's name in a while.
Yeah, he's fighting tonight.
Is he?
Yeah, the UFC. UFC Columbus, Ohio.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I didn't even know that. Now I got somebody like to root for now.
Sarah
Yeah.
McMahon's fighting tonight too, and she's my wrestling coach.
Who is?
Oh, look at that. Sarah McMahon.
Sarah McMahon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You got some credentials too. I like that.
Hey,
a lot of these fighters don't.
I feel like up north you have like all those options because there's a lot of
That's
fighters that
There's
are
a lot
based out of there.
Here in Sacramento, I'm very blessed to like have a good selection of really talented people to teach me the art, and I'm very blessed for that.
Yeah, I feel like every time I go to either pro or amateur fights up there in Sacramento, you always run into someone. You run into someone from, San Jose, those gyms up there, and it's maybe like an old UFC fighter coaching their kid or something. It's so cool.
Or their nephew. Yeah. I like this area. It's a cool area.
Especially nice when you see little kids running around and you're all, oh, look, Team Alpha Male. That's cute. That's cute.
They're all wearing little Team Alpha Male shirts.
Now you're talking about your management team and your team telling you when they feel you're ready to go pro, but do you feel like you're ready to go pro, especially because you've already had 5 fights under your belt?
Yeah, I'd like to get a little bit more experience before, because especially my weight class, there's a lot of killers out there. So, and I've been keeping my eye on a lot of the guys in the pro scene, and it just I like to get a little bit more experience, just get a little bit more comfortable in the cage before I make the leap. But if my coaches think I'm ready, then I have no choice but to trust them.
Now, talking about looking up fighter information on other fighters, do you make it difficult for the guys fighting you to find information on you?
No. Not really, because like the internet's wide, and like if they really want to find something on me, like they're gonna find it. So I'm like, I don't trip on it. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Did you have something else, James? Sorry, I think
No.
Was that it? Oh, okay, I forgot what I was gonna ask.
Damn it! Well, that doesn't help.
I know.
It's like my memory. You guys don't even fight.
Doesn't mean we haven't had some collisions in the skull area.
Exactly. I feel like most of my brain damage came from snowboarding.
Hey, that's true. That does happen in snowboarding.
Definitely.
I feel like a lot of people will film themselves, like even like in my gyms that I've been to and stuff. There's always someone that sets up their little camera in the corner of the mat to film like their training sessions, and they post them. I feel like I've never wanted to do that, just because I like the anxiety of not knowing the thing of your opponent, of what they do or what they've even done, is just like a little stressful. So I always felt like I wanted to do that too, so that they can't see anything. Exactly. But there's always that one person that has to film, and then they post it everywhere. So then it's always out there for someone to see.
Exactly. And it'll always be like that. So like, I don't post any footage in my training sessions. That's just something I don't do. I don't think anyone needs to know what goes on between me and my coaches in the gym.
Exactly.
So,
agreed.
But But as far as like your fights being posted, the promotion's going to post them. It's not you going to do about that.
Yeah.
So, but like when it comes to like recording my training sessions or like recording me hitting mitts and posting it on Facebook, I don't do that. You won't see any like videos of me training like on my Facebook.
Yeah.
Like you'll probably see it like a post workout picture of me and the team, but that's
a picture, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially for, I feel like, amateurs. That's something that should happen more. Whereas pros, I mean, I know you have media people coming in and recording the workouts and what have you. So I could see why more of that would be readily available to people compared to amateur fighters.
Exactly. You have full media teams and stuff.
So how far out, I mean, do you do like a legit hard training camp And if you do, how many weeks out are you?
So for my last fight, we kind of got a little short note. Like I like to do an 8 to 9 week camp for every fight. But my last fight was kind of short notice. We only got to do a 5-week fight camp, which, you know what I mean? Me and my coaches were kind of skeptical on it, but after watching the footage on the opponent, we thought we could get it done. So we went for it. And once we got this offer, I told my coaches, and they wanted to start going to work right away. So we've already started camping. So, you know what I mean? We're working. You know what I mean? I've been training twice a day, 6 days a week.
So you didn't have any problems when you got out of your last fight? You were good to go back in the gym?
Oh, yeah. I was in the gym, not Sunday, but the following Monday.
Wow.
So,
I feel like 5 weeks is like pretty standard. I feel like maybe that's what people like to, or maybe 6 to 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's what a lot of amateurs do, but like a lot of the pros do like 8-week fight camps.
Oh, geez, 2 months, man, that's crazy.
Yeah. Especially for like big title fights, you know what I mean? Like big fights, it's not out of the normal to do an 8-week fight camp.
Now, do you find do you have a full-time job as well, or part-time, or anything in between?
Like I do like digital marketing, social media marketing, and stuff like that. Advertising for various businesses and companies and like startups like that.
Oh, so do you get the luxury of doing it like from home?
Exactly.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah,
you can go train whenever you want then.
And I've manipulated my life to be like that for that purpose.
Nice.
That makes sense. I like
so how
that.
many
when did you
how many years of experience do you have, would you say, like from when you started?
So I started I started wrestling when I was about 15 or 16, and I started like training jiu-jitsu like right when I turned 18. And then because I'm 28 now, so I've been training jiu-jitsu since I turned 18, so about like 9 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And I just started doing my stand-up just like recently, a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of started just rolling the ball, like getting deeper and deeper into the sport.
It's a rabbit hole. It never ends.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, now I know how to wrestle. I know jiu-jitsu. Now I need to learn how to kick and punch.
Yeah.
Now, talking about your MMA influences, were there any movies that influenced your decision into going into it? Because that's one thing I don't think I've ever asked fighters. It's usually like what fighter has inspired you, but has there been any movies that have inspired?
So like growing up, I loved Bloodsport, bro. Like that was like
that's actually the movie I was thinking. So that's why yes, I approve.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, bro. Like after I watched that movie, bro, my dad wakes up. I'm like trying to do the splits on some chairs.
Oh my god.
He's like, "What are you doing, bro?" I'm like, "Bloodsport, bro. Kumite."
Hey, I mean, you got to get that practice in.
Exactly.
Now, are you able to do the splits on the chairs?
No, I haven't tried it on the chairs recently, but I can do the split.
Hey, at least you could do it.
My coaches was really good at that.
But if I tried to do it on the chairs, I might pull my groin.
Yeah.
That's true. You might hurt yourself. You want to avoid that.
Yeah.
Try to stay injury free.
Exactly, man. So especially for this camp.
I think my it's probably unpopular, but the movie Cinderella Man, the boxing movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
That one, besides Rocky, but that one after that is when I was like, holy shit. Like I was on the edge of my seat watching those movies when I was like younger, and I was like, this is cool. I don't know why I like this so much.
You ever seen that?
That was the movie for me.
You ever seen The $1 Million Baby?
I didn't want to watch that because I found out what it was about. I'm like, I don't need to see that.
You're like, I don't want to cry tonight.
I know of it.
But see of the sport, you don't want to see that. That's like the worst thing that could possibly happen.
Yeah, you're like, oh my god, that's like scary from fighting. It's like scary from competing.
Exactly.
It's scared straight for MMA or anybody who wants to compete in a combat sport.
Any kind of combat sport after seeing that. Yeah, no, I've yet to watch. I was curious. I'm like, no, I don't need to see that shit. So I didn't watch it.
Yeah, same.
But just to be, usually your corner is supposed to be really good about getting that stool out of there.
Yeah, well, hopefully you have a good corner. Sometimes
Exactly.
I don't know. I think it was one of the last, not the last UFC card, maybe a couple before that, and I forgot who was fighting. But even the commentators are like, "Man, why aren't they throwing in the towel? Like, please, stop this. This isn't going to go anywhere good." And then even the ref didn't stop it either.
People just taking unnecessary brain damage.
Yeah, and you don't know why. It's like, why? So.
Yeah, you gotta know when you're throwing the towel, man.
Yeah. So you said you're gonna go spar. Do you spar a lot, or what's that like for you? Is it? I know some fighters are a little crazy, but
I try to spar at least 2 to 3 times a week.
Is it hard sparring, or do you kind of take it
easy?
easy?
So we mix it up. Usually, like tonight, it's gonna be more of a technical spar, and then like Saturdays, usually we do hard sparring, and like Thursdays usually we just mix it. We do a little bit of mix it. We mix it up a little bit, and we do a little bit of technical sparring, a little bit of hard sparring, and Thursdays we usually put like the 7-ounce gloves on, like the trainers, and we do sparring with those. So it's like more like an MMA simulation.
So do you have a lot of MMA sparring partners, or do you spar, your individual, your Muay Thai, boxing, jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. So I have I have MMA sparring partners, and like tonight I'm going to a Muay Thai gym, but like on Thursdays, like I go to a jiu-jitsu gym that I train at, and they have a MMA sparring.
Okay.
So
you are able to get those reps in.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have good partners there, like about your size, that you can really like kind of judge yourself off of?
Yeah.
Uphill battle with heavyweights.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys my size, all 145ers, 35ers, 55ers, and I roll around with them, and I get some good work, man. I have a lot of good people my size to work with, so it's cool.
That's good.
Now, is there anybody that right now will take a moment? Is there anyone you want to shout out or basically say thanks to for helping support you in your career so far?
Yeah, just shout out to all my coaches at Lineage Fight Team for just taking the time to come together and build a good fight team, man. And we've been successful ever since we all started working together. So I'm excited for what's yet to come. And my girlfriend, who always supports me no matter what, doing all my fights, doing all my training, and my parents, and just my whole family, my whole support system, man.
So you have a lot of support. I know I've done some amateur Muay Thai. My family hates it. They don't even want to talk about it. They don't want to go watch it. Nothing. So you have family that will actually go out and support you, friends that will support you that are on board.
Yeah. My dad comes to like every fight. He loves it.
Oh, good.
My mom doesn't like it so much though. So.
Yeah, I don't think any mom would.
Not my baby.
Yeah, she doesn't like it. But my dad's like, yeah.
That's good.
That's awesome. All right, Kaelyn, you got anything else?
That was about it for me. I don't know if you had anything else, any other questions. I know you did your shout outs. No, that's it for me. Unless you had anything else you wanted to mention, or Cory, if you had anything else you wanted to say before your fight.
Yeah, no, man. I'm mentally ready. I'm physically ready. And y'all want to see a banger, get ready. May 20th, MMA Fight Pass, Bakersfield, man. I'm ready to put on a show.
All right. We look forward to that. I will definitely be there doing some production work, so I will definitely see you there. And Cory, right now we're going to let you go. So have a good night and enjoy sparring.
Yes, sir.
And we will talk to you later, sir.
Y'all have a great night, all right?
Keep us updated, too, with your results for this next fight.
Yeah, we'll do, guys. All right, have a great day.
Later. All right. We just had Cory on. That was awesome, getting to learn his story and learn more about him. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue our podcast a little bit longer. And we're going to discuss some MMA news. because I mean that's what we do. We're the Mainstream Podcast. That's what we talk about.
The
So let
drama.
me go ahead and pop that up real quick, and also talk about last week's stuff because Tom Aspinall, I picked him in just one of my random picks, and I was right. Homeboy was legit.
Didn't I pick him
in the
too?
first round.
Too?
No, yeah, we both picked him, but I was
Yeah.
just more really. I was just like pat on the back for myself. That's all.
Yeah, with Volkov, I feel like I've seen him kind of crumble before. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's kind of like how it's going to go. And Aspinall did his thing. So,
Yeah, Aspinall's really come out as, I feel like he's like not the next big thing.
He's
but
up there.
he's really working his way up to being that top heavyweight. So, and Ngannou just had surgery to repair some injuries that he had suffered. So who knows how long he'll be out for. But Aspinall, who knows, by that time, maybe Aspinall will be ready to challenge, but he's got to take on some stiffer competition compared to Alexander Volkov.
Yeah.
But that was really awesome, especially because he got a performance of the night bonus. So good for him. And then Arnold Allen, I knew he was going to win.
Did you?
Didn't realize it'd be first round. I picked him. I was like, Arnold Allen. Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's been trash lately.
He has. I love Dan Hooker. I wanted him to win so bad, but
I know.
I wasn't that surprised though.
But he didn't. Sad face.
Yeah.
And then we had Patty the Batty.
Oh man, I love this guy.
Crazy Ron Weasley, man. Good job. Good job, bro.
Man. Yeah, very good.
That's the way you get Hermione to look at you like, hey, how you doing, Blonde Ron?
Yeah, that he's, still living up to his, his promise there. So I can't wait to watch him fight again. I hope he fights again soon.
He's definitely on Dana White's radar. That's for sure.
I think he's always been, and now that he's there, he's actually doing the thing. Like
I feel like it's more now.
You know what gets me about him is these last two fights. Is the first one I'm like, man, I kind of thought it was gonna end for him soon, when the fight took off, getting hit with all those heavy shots. He looks like he is getting beat, and then all of a sudden he'll come back and finish the fight, and it makes me so nervous. Because I always think, the end's coming for him because, like, what the hell happened, But then he always outlasts the blitz and comes back and does his thing. So it's pretty impressive. Although I hate fighters that do that because you never know when they're actually hurt or not.
But that's also why he's the baddie.
He is the best. Dude,
I just wanted a reason to say that.
He has so many fans. It's so great.
Oh, yeah. Now, did you happen to catch the female fight on the card?
Yeah, she's crazy too. She's like a Patty Pimblett, maybe a little crazier. She did good. She overwhelmed Carolina for sure. That was awesome. And I guess she's really close with Patty. So both of those guys are, man, I love those two.
The blonde connection from the looks of it.
Yeah.
All right. And then we were talking about it earlier, the UFC fight card. Right there, Max Griffin. He's headlining the prelims against Neil Magny.
Okay.
I'm taking Griffin on that.
I don't know. Neil Magny is good. I'm going to take Neil Magny.
You take Neil Magny, and then Cory's wrestling coach Sarah McCann is also on the card.
Sarah McMahon.
Not McCann. McMahon.
Yeah. She's definitely a veteran. Carol Rosa, I don't know too much about her. She's probably pretty good. It'd probably be an okay fight, I think.
I think so too. That'll be interesting to see what comes of that. Now we're going to move on to the main card where we got Curtis Blades versus Chris Daukaus.
That one's going to be a close one, I think.
That should be an interesting fight. I think this is going to be a big test for Daukaus, I feel like.
Yeah, but Daukaus,
because
I think he can do it.
You think so?
Yeah, but it just depends what kind of Curtis Blades is going to come out, Like I've seen him get beat, but also by extreme, those heavyweights. I think they kind of threw him in a little fast, but we'll see I hope he wins. I like Curtis Blades. I always go for him, but you never know. And he's been hit pretty hard, so I don't know.
That's
we'll
true.
See.
You pick Blades, I pick Daukaus. Why not?
Yeah.
Matt Brown Oh my gosh. I just saw a story with him that he wants to be one of the oldest fighters to compete in the UFC.
Well, he's
Props
there.
to
He's
him.
getting there.
The thing is, he's going to have a long road to go down, because if he wants to be one of the oldest, that's one thing. If he wants to be the oldest, he's going to have to compete into his 50s, because a lot of people don't seem to remember Ron Van Cleef. He was a karate guy in the early UFCs. He competed and he was in his 50s. Yeah.
Well,
A lot of people don't remember that. I do.
No.
Random knowledge. But I hope that Matt Brown could sustain.
how old is Matt Brown
long
right
enough.
now? Though? Do we know how old?
Ooh, I don't think it has age, but I know I want to say maybe late 30s, early 40s. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out real quick.
He has an interesting fight record though, with 25-18. The dude, he's
been around for a while.
Yeah, and he's a fucking nut when he fights. That's why we love him.
Didn't say his birthday. I was hoping it was gonna say.
WTF.
Damn.
But he is one of those guys that could take an ass whooping and just dish it back.
Yeah.
And that's why he's the immortal.
He is, yeah. Damn, I was trying to find his age real quick. But he's been around for a while. But he's so good still. He's never really disappointed. So as long as he's still good, maybe he can meet that goal.
I'd like to think so, but it just depends on his performances and how the UFC wants to deal with him going forward. And if he still wants to compete,
keep him on there. Let him.
He's 41.
Let him go. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, right? Let him compete longer.
For that age, he's good. You know, a lot of people, you're like, oh, I think their time's up. But this guy, I don't think has ever really, I've never been concerned about him. Although he doesn't fight that often either. Maybe that's the secret. Don't fight that often. You can fight.
Yeah, that could be the key to his longevity, is that he hasn't had a ton of high profile fights, but he has had some wars. But
yeah.
That's definitely awesome. Hopefully he can do it and keep competing. And then get out of this and go to here. And then we have Joanne Wood versus Alexa Grosso, which is I would say co-main.
Yeah, I don't know. These girls Alexa Grosso is really good. Joanne Calderwood is good too. I feel like I haven't seen anything super impressive from her. Like, she's been all right the whole time, you know. Yeah. Alexa Grosso is pretty good. I don't know. I'm gonna.
Do you think that this should be? I'm going to take Grosso too.
Yeah.
But do you think this would be Joanne's time to come out and finally make that impression, or not against somebody like Alexa Grosso?
I think Alexa Grosso is like on a high, you know, ever since she's gotten in there. And Calderwood's been around since like the UFC fighter when they first introduced girls to it. So she was on that season with I think it was Rousey. And
I also like how you gauge that as like old to be around at that time.
Well, it was the beginning, not old, but it's the beginning of the females even getting into UFC besides Rousey and Miesha Tate. And this was the first Ultimate Fighter season with females that she was on. Yeah. So I watched it. That's how I remember who she even is. But yeah, she's been like mediocre, I feel like, since she's gotten off that show. Doesn't fight that often. I don't know if she took a break or something, but haven't seen her. And I don't know. She wasn't very impressive, but
that's the one thing.
Girls that are anyway, you know.
Talking about mediocre, that's the one thing that surprised me about Shayna Baszler. I don't know if she's remotely on your radar, because she competed during a time when there wasn't much female MMA. But Shayna Baszler is legit one of like the baddest females ever. And she was on one of the Ultimate Fighters and did not. Yeah, she was. She bailed out early. She lost early, and she was one of the favorites. And she never got her career back on track and ended up leaving. And now she does professional wrestling. But she, at that time, was one of the female fighters that hardcores knew that this chick is badass. and
Okay.
not every generic fan knew. And then unfortunately, she just never got the opportunity for the spotlight and to shine, and that sucks because, a lot of hardcores like myself, we knew who she was. We knew she was a bad bitch,
but
and
it's just sometimes
just never
you
got
get
that
those-
chance.
Well, sometimes you get those matchups that you don't pass, and then it's like, okay, well, that opportunity is gone. You're however many years old. You're like, well, I got to make a decision of what I want to do. You can wait for the next season, or I don't know, because girls don't come around that often, so you kind of have to wait it out.
At that time, you're right.
Just get signed. I don't know of any girls that just get signed to UFC. I don't know how that works for females. I know I see females that I don't know or ever heard of to get on the cards, but I'm like, how did they get on there? Who scouts them
feel
out?
like there's less hype. There's less hype behind the female fighters starting out, so that they really do have to work their way in. Compared to certain males will have a lot of hype behind them with the hype train, but females don't seem to have that. Whereas Ronda Rousey was different, I feel like, because she had a lot of accolades.
Competing against guys in judo and stuff like that. So she was
you're right. And she was I want to say a bronze medalist. So she was a competitor in the Olympics. Like, she had all these accolades. So that does add, but yet she was probably the most hyped female to come into the UFC. We didn't get that with Chris Cyborg. Chris Cyborg was at odds with Dana White for part of the time, so that didn't help. And then
wasn't she in Strikeforce? Wasn't there women?
She was in Strikeforce. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm not saying it wasn't around, but UFC is a certain level. It's the pinnacle of MMA, at least in the in the United States. I'd probably say globally too, but not for female fighting at that time. That was Strikeforce. And so you had Chris Cyborg, who was the lead female because she killed Gina Carano. Gina Carano, before there was Ronda Rousey, there was Gina Carano. And Gina Carano is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I still have a crush on her. Oh my, I don't get starstruck and I'd be like, hi, Gina. You're so pretty. Anyways, when they fought, like, that was kind of like, that was the big fight at the time, was Gina Carano and Chris Cyborg. And Chris Cyborg proceeded to beat her ass.
Yeah.
And literally retired her from the sport. And
then
you had that at the time was the biggest fight, but then you really didn't have any big female hype until Ronda Rousey. And then that's what led to them competing in the UFC.
Yeah, well, I think she was the one that really fought for it, that really bugged Dana White about it, was more ruthless than maybe. She was more outspoken, I think, probably is what got that attention there. And she was really good. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of like amazes me the way that ended up because you had Ronda Rousey, who was winning every fight, but basically from an armbar every single time. And it was always find a way to get him down, wrestle, jiu-jitsu, whatever, or, her judo takedowns and stuff like that.
Do what she needed to do to get the armbar.
Right. And then, but then, you come across someone like Holly Holm, who wasn't on the radar at all. Like, people knew who she was. She was in the division. I knew her from boxing and kickboxing. And I was, on really rooting for her when she got in UFC. I thought it was a bad idea to have her fight for the title, but she was the next one to go up against Ronda Rousey. And then you see what happened to that. It's like, oh my gosh, who knew it was so easy to get Ronda Rousey just by doing a different sport? And then you have all these women who start out with maybe striking and, are more well-rounded than, just that Ronda Rousey, who would only try to get you down. And I think one of her toughest fighters was Miesha Tate, because even though they fought so many times, Miesha Tate, I think, had more fight time with her, where she didn't get her an armbar every single time, where she did have to wrestle her, for more time. And I don't know. It's weird how it all comes full circle like that when you have Ronda Rousey, who opened up the whole thing for women in the UFC, but ended up being so one-dimensional. And now you have all these girls that can do everything. It's really cool.
Now, talking about the hype train, me and you talk about Kayla Harrison a lot, and you turned me on to her, like telling me about her, and that's how I got into knowing about her and then following her on social media and whatnot. Do you think that she is the next big deal in
Well,
the way of women's MMA.
she's her own big deal right now. It's just the only thing is that it's not UFC, it's PFL, where it's not, UFC is what's on TV, all, what people want to
Very
watch.
true.
Pay-per-views are, so that's kind of like that opportunity type of thing where, plus she's in a different weight class. She fights at 155 though, and she could probably get down to 145.
No, I just meant in general for women's MMA.
I mean, she's up there with everyone else though. Everyone else is still there. She's not the only one. She's great. It's just unfortunate of the promotion that she's in, because you're not going to get to see her fight those UFC fighters that everyone wants to watch. And she gets paid a lot, so she's doing the best thing for her. She gets paid $1 million every tournament that she wins. That's crazy. That's great. Like, who wouldn't want to do that?
Now, I wonder if that's on top of the money she makes per fight, because they got to make something per fight, or else why would they do it? Just to win X amount at the end.
Yeah. With those special tournaments that they have is, I don't know, something else. But I think she's probably one of the more, and I don't know, who knows what the UFC salaries are for women's fighters or just the fighters in general. It's a big secret, apparently. But like Kayla Harrison, from the very little that we know of what UFC fighters get paid anyway, I'd say she's probably the highest paid female fighter for her fights. I know there's a lot of females that have sponsors. They do all these other things in connection to fighting. But as far as for getting paid for their fights, I think Kayla Harrison might be the highest paid female MMA fighter. I think maybe you could argue Cyborg in Bellator, but Bellator's not paying her out $1 million, I don't think. And, she could do her own.
You gotta be paying her well, though.
Yeah, for sure. But you see $1 million check, like that's big money right there. That's a different level of getting paid than, all the other organizations. So I don't know. I feel like Kayla Harrison's doing her own thing, and she's probably living her best life, So I don't know. It's just unfortunate you have that separation of what she's doing, and then you have the UFC. Unless you're in UFC, it's kind of hard to make that comparison, as far as
that's true. Like I was saying, that's the pinnacle of MMA to a lot of people.
Yeah. You kind of have to know about all the organizations that are for MMA to make that comparison and even know of most of those women fighters. Like there's one championship where there's a shit ton of fighters no one even knows about, and they're so good.
My knowledge, I know of it. It is still very limited. Doesn't mean I don't want to watch it. I don't want to learn, but it's just finding the access to it.
Right. So the access, and also it's mainly in Singapore, I feel like. I know they're having a fight card soon, or maybe they are right now. It's like literally on a
It's relatively soon.
Yeah, and it's like literally on a Wednesday at like 3 a.m. or something. And it's huge over there. But over here, you're not waiting at 7 o'clock on a Saturday, prime time, ordering your pay-per-view. You got to find out when they're fighting and adjust to their schedule, because they're not doing it over here.
It's tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Decent
and
time.
There's 2 people I know, or 3 people I know that are competing. Demetrius Johnson's on the card. Akiyama is on the card competing against Shinya Aoki. Aoki is the reason why I'm like, that fight I'm interested in. Unfortunately, because I don't know of any of these other fighters, I'm like, but Aoki, that's a bad dude. So that's why I would like to see that fight.
But also they do Muay Thai.
I did see when they were on TNT, they've aired a few fight cards. I did see his name slips my mind right now, but I saw a Muay Thai fight with one of their badass dudes.
Oh, Rod Tang, probably.
I think that's who it was. Yeah. And that dude's elbows, destroyed.
And then they have the MMA gloves on, so that's interesting. And it's in the cage.
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's a little confusing. It's confusing if you don't know what's going on or what fight's coming up and who fights what, But it's so huge over there. It's just, I hate that, because you have Glory Kickboxing that's so huge in Europe. It's a really big deal, but over here no one knows, when they're fighting or what's going on for that. So each region has their own thing. Of course, USA is UFC, but outside of that, no one's really going to know what's going on unless you're a real fight fan and you're looking for those fights to watch. I wish it was different, but it's not.
You're right. I completely agree, and it sucks.
Yeah.
So did you hear about Mike Tyson?
What about him? I feel like I've heard a lot about him lately.
He was at a comedy club, and a guy tried to challenge him and then pulled a gun. And Mike Tyson was still calm, even though the dude pulled he didn't pull a gun and pointed at him. He did pull a gun. He showed everybody he had a gun. And Mike Tyson was like, whoa, and chilled the situation out.
He like de-escalated the whole thing.
He really did. And it's like, don't call the cops.
What did the guy want to do? I don't understand.
From reading the story, they were at a comedy club, and this guy, witnesses told TMZ that the man ended up challenging Tyson to a fight in an attempt to improve what he called his status. The host of the event asked the man to leave, at which point he pulled a gun.
I wonder if he was drunk.
The man evidently, I would not be shocked. It's a comedy club. It happens that, there's alcohol flowing. Well, the man evidently thought better of a bad decision. That was LA, and put the gun away. And at which point, he asked an unfazed Mike Tyson not to call the cops.
I wonder what comedy club it was in LA. That is crazy. Does it say?
It does not. Let's see what it says on the video. Can you hear the audio?
No, I can't.
That's the guy. The guy in the jacket, the black jacket, is the one who pulls the gun.
Whoa.
It was Sunset. That was the club.
Okay. Wow.
It's in Hollywood.
Okay.
So yeah, and Mike Tyson, unfazed, completely calm through the whole situation.
Yeah, he's on mushrooms like 24/7 now, so he's not that guy anymore.
That's true. I get it, but I don't give a fuck.
He's the guy of peace now.
Mike Tyson, anytime, scares the shit out of me. Even if I shook his hand and gave him a hug, took a picture, super smiles, it's Mike Tyson, I'd still be like, this man could murder me. Yeah, I'd be terrified. Have you ever seen it? I was actually talking to my grandmother about this earlier. Have you ever seen Mike Tyson hit a heavy bag?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's scary.
That's the shit nightmares are made of.
Yeah.
Just being honest. And then seeing him when he was younger competing in the Olympics, he was so fast. Oh my God, that man's speed was insane.
How old he is, see him rip on the back.
Very true.
Pretty crazy. But yeah, I did hear about that. That was crazy, and I don't know what the guy was thinking, or he must have been high, drunk.
There's probably something going on, and
or he wanted a video of himself or something.
That's what it was. He wanted his status, so it didn't work out though. Cooler heads prevailed, and everything was all right.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to move on to MMA and the craziness that's ensued this week, because there's been quite a bit of it. Khabib says Colby Covington should be blacklisted after UFC after Jorge Masvidal's arrest.
Okay.
So there's an incident between Masvidal and Covington. This was after they fought.
Yeah.
And Masvidal was detained by police.
Well, yeah, because Colby called the cops. So, yeah. Which is, what I sent you a message saying I think that UFC fighters should be allowed to do whatever they want to each other outside of the cage. And if one of them calls the cops, I feel like that's kind of a loaded statement. Like they can do anything, but I know what you mean. That if they get into an altercation with each other, fuck it, let it happen. I think it should just be law. They're fighters. Let them do what they want. I mean, you're going to arrest Masvidal and have him on all those charges.
No, you're right.
Who cares?
And I know exactly what you mean. And I completely agree. If a fighter's going to fight, if they're going to fight each other, that's fine. The problem is if it's an altercation that's in public, somebody else gets involved and they start fighting them and they are not a fighter or a UFC fighter or anything like that, causes a problem. But those two, if people would have been like, just let him go.
Yeah.
Just let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
But you know what? Then Masvidal probably shouldn't have done that. And I don't know really what the details were that led up to it. But Colby Covington called the cops. Why?
Yeah. He probably tried to call his boy Trump, and Masvidal was like, he's my boy now.
He really is, I think. Yeah, no, that did definitely change directions. Yeah, no, he did. And yeah, no, you're right, though, actually. That's so funny you said that. That's actually really true. But Colby Covington was such a little bitch. He called the cops and pressed charges. Like,
yeah.
And like he complained about
which is why Khabib is saying that Covington should be blacklisted. That fighters shouldn't want to fight him. And then on the other hand, you have Cormier, who's like, dude, you had him talking to Masvidal, like you fought him for 25 minutes and you couldn't beat him.
Yeah.
Stop trying to fight him. The fight's over.
Yeah, but Masvidal's from the streets. He's gonna do what he wants to do.
That's true.
I think he should do what he wants to do. I say we
take it to the backyard and let him go there.
I think Masvidal should be able to do whatever the hell he wants to do. I like him. And Colby Covington is ranked number 1, even though they already fought. I think, and even with Colby Covington winning, what's the point of calling the cops? Like I don't know. He wasn't fearing for his life. It was just a move on his part to create more issues for Masvidal, which I think is like an unfighter thing to do. And it's kind of like street code. Like, you don't do that. If you are fighting another fighter, that's your fight. You don't call the cops and press charges. Like, you settle your fight or whatever the difference is.
I agree. Completely agree.
But Masvidal's going to do what he wants to do, and he's always been that way. He's not someone that, like, follows the rules of society, in the streets. Very true.
And we have seen that with other things that he has done throughout his life.
But yeah, he got arrested, he got let out, and he has, I don't know how many charges or what's going to happen with that. I think they released him on like $15,000. I don't know what it was.
We'll see what happens. Let's be honest. Like, things will develop and we'll see what happens, which I'm very curious to see.
Covington just wants money from him. Maybe he just wants money from him.
He's all, hey man, let me get $20. I'll drop all this shit over $20
or $20,000.
True. Just depends on what he's rolling with. Because I could use $20. So that's why I just say $20. That's just my instinct.
He made a claim about his Rolex getting damaged. Like I think he just wants money out of this situation. So
that's messed up.
I don't know. Unless this is part of his gimmick to be a little bitch, because he is.
It could be. I've told one of my boys he's very successful. And he got this really awesome job recently. And I told him, I said, guess what, man? I got some really bad news for you, but it's great news for me. And he's like, what's that? I said, I am never paying for lunch again when I go to lunch with you. Never.
Oh.
You were always going to pay for my lunch now.
Unspoken
I'm like,
rule.
that's basically like you're giving back to the community because I'm poor. So thanks, bro. Love you.
Contributing.
Yep. You're contributing to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so that whole situation, yeah, we'll see. I do think it was unnecessary that Covington called the cops. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. That was a bitch move, I feel like. For a fighter, you would feel like fighters would settle their things with fighting
differently.
Especially two different fighters. Like, you fight. That's what you do. You have a problem, you fight. That's how you solve
True,
that.
but they are professionals and they compete in a cage. Well, Masvidal is a fighter. Masvidal is a fighter. I think Colby Covington is an athlete.
Colby Covington was.
I think that's where they differ.
Anyways.
Yeah. So, all right. Also, in the world of mixed martial arts, Vincent Henderson is staying with Bellator. He signed a contract extension.
Oh, I had no idea.
Cool. Good for him.
He's still there.
Yeah, he won his last fight in January and snapped a 3-fight skid that he was on. And so, yeah, he will be staying with Bellator for a little bit longer. Good for him. And I only say that just because, being a long time
I like to see him win.
I do too. And I hope he can keep it going.
Him to win. It's just so disappointing.
Same. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. And then lastly from us today, LeVar Johnson reported there was supposed to be a bare knuckle fight event that was supposed to go on, and it was canceled. I saw this is on his Instagram, and there are a few other people locally that are in the MMA community that were supposed to be competing on this.
So
and it was, the event was canceled, and some people have washed their hands of it. I don't know. I have not heard anything. I am quite curious as to the details because it sucks when you hear about events folding. And these affect local guys. And that sucks more because these are guys that are local to the community, guys that we've watched and supported. And it sucks to see that happen.
Where was it supposed to be?
That's where I'm not quite sure.
Like, was it even close to around here?
I don't think so, but that, like I said, I didn't really know a ton of the details to this fight. I just knew some of the guys that were going to be competing on the card.
That's strange. Something happened.
I couldn't tell you who they were competing against. I didn't know if they were competing against each other or what. I want to say the event had to take place in California because I know of at least 3 fighters.
Yeah, you would think so.
A 4th person involved that were going to be involved in this, and I'm
wondering if it was an issue with like California and maybe sanctions.
Could have been, because I don't think we've hosted bare knuckle fighting in California.
I don't know, unless they've
to
done
my
it
knowledge,
like
we haven't.
No, I don't remember.
But still, you'd have to deal with an athletic commission no matter what, and I don't think that's
I think California
that flies.
One of the worst ones. That in New York.
I would say strict. Yeah. I wouldn't say worse.
I don't know. Maybe. Or who knows? It's bare knuckle. They could have some shady shit going on anyway. That sounds like some shady stuff to say our event's canceled. That's some shady stuff. So something happened.
Yeah. So it sucks. And I'm sorry to all those fighters that were going to be competing on that card because some of them I hadn't seen compete in a while. And I really wanted to see them get back into it and mix things up. So that sucks. So sorry to them. We do have fights coming up. We have, this will be next month, which our next show will be next month. So then it'll be closer, but we have 559 fights coming up like we do all the time, because I mean, they're the big dog in the yard of amateur fights in Central California. And so they'll be having a card. I think they're still going to be at the Visalia Convention Center. I'm not quite sure. Next week, I am planning on having one of their fighters on with us to talk about his upcoming fight camp and whatnot, his preparation for the fight. I think he's competing on this next card. If not, he competed on a previous card, but I'm pretty sure we're planning ahead now. We're jumping ahead now. We're not talking about the past. That's old shit. We're talking about new shit.
Why are you gonna bring up old shit?
Exactly. See, you get it. So we're gonna talk to them, one of the fighters next week, and discuss that. I look forward to it. And then we also have Muay Thai coming up in Bakersfield. We have Muay Thai coming up in Madera, I believe, but I don't know much about. See, it's that upcoming that it's tomorrow, and I didn't really know about it.
So there is 1, 2, I want to say 3 or 4 fighters from Manny Mancha's gym that will be competing. Also, I know he'll be setting up his booth for his fight gear too. A lot of cool gloves and shorts that he'll be selling there.
Hey, Manny, I'm still waiting on a shirt, man. I'll wear it on the show. I'll rep it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just be honest. I'm poor, so look at it like a sponsorship deal. I'll wear it all the time.
So there's like 3 to 4 guys that are going to be competing tomorrow. I believe it's at the Madera High gym. I think it's South Madera South, something like that. Wherever they always have it, I believe it's that location. I've been to one of them. It's been a long time, but they have them every so often, and a lot of booths. You could buy a lot of stuff. Like Manny's gonna be selling fight gear. He has a lot of cool stuff that he gets to order and sell. So that would be cool. I don't know how many gyms are going to be there, but I think it's big. It's pretty big. It's usually a big deal over there.
Right on.
I'm going to try to go. I don't know if I'll be able to go or not. I have to get more details. But yeah, so that's tomorrow. I just found out about that this week.
I've heard inklings about it, but then I know more about.
I wish I saw more advertising though. I know that probably did advertise. Man, they should do it more, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like that's a work in progress for some.
I think they've done maybe 3 so far, 3 or 4.
Really?
Madeira, I think so.
I didn't know
Yeah.
there were that many.
There's been at least 3. This might be the 4th one. Yeah.
I just know the Bakersfield shows just because I hear about them all the time from Archie.
Oh, yeah, and Bakersfield.
So I know about those. And that's later next month,
Next month.
near the end of April. So we will be discussing that, of course. All right. You got anything else for today?
No, but also another thing, I totally forgot that this happened. Glory Kickboxing, that crazy.
Yes. Thank you.
Still don't know exactly what happened because you're only getting the explanation. I wasn't watching it live pay-per-view, although I wanted to. Totally forgot about it. It was in the middle of the day, but plus you have to go to their website to see it. But anyway, it was mid-fight. I believe it was the end of the second round. They had to call the fight because something was going on in the fans section. I believe they described it as, I don't know, something like violent behavior, whatever that means. I don't, unsafe. Okay. It makes me wonder because that's what Europe. So something has got to go down over there for them to interrupt a fight, a Badr Hari fight at that. That's pretty.
Which tripped me out because I know who that dude is, and that dude's bad.
Of course, yeah. Big fight. But yeah, after the second round, never ever have I ever seen that happen. But I also saw a lot of fighters come out as that happened and denounce whatever behavior was going on out there. So I wonder what it was, but it wasn't good. I would assume, like, without even knowing details, I knew is probably a fight amongst fans. And I did hear it was, Badr Hari's fans against his opponent's fans. Maybe there's some animosity towards those two countries, I believe. But I don't know. I don't know if there's weapons involved. I wouldn't imagine people bringing weapons in there. I believe they have pretty good security, but who knows? Different rules over there. Never seen a fight stopped like that before. So that's very interesting. They did say that they will be having another event that you could just tune in for free if you've already purchased the pay-per-view. But I believe if you haven't purchased it, it's not just a free thing. Like, you'll have to buy it if you weren't watching it. But for the customers that lost out on their money in the show, that they will be putting on a new pay-per-view for free for those customers, which is pretty cool. Glory's always been pretty good. They've never really screwed anyone over, I don't think, as far as I know. So that's good.
From what I've seen too, being a more recent fan.
Yeah, considering their pay-per-views are only like $25, so it's like, well, whatever. But that's cool. I'll definitely be buying the next one that'll be coming up. But yeah, that's crazy. I wish I knew what happened. I'll have to find out more details. But that was interesting. Crazy. Never seen that happen before.
Same. Yeah, the details would be interesting to find out. So some craziness going on in the world of combat sports, not just MMA, but of course kickboxing as well. So combat sports as a whole. And hopefully
combat activity going on outside of the combat world.
Yeah, a little extracurricular combat activity.
Surprise. People like
hopefully everything will calm down this next week, but still something will happen, at least news-wise, so we could talk about that. All right, that's going to do it for us here at the MMA Mainstream Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.